Everything's getting more expensive and everybody's telling you to make more money. But is making more money really the answer? This video is for you if you've been wondering if bigger is actually better and if more is actually more. Today, I want to talk about how to know if growing is actually right for you or if it's quietly going to make your life worse. So, why this matters? I wanted to have this conversation because I started sharing my real estate experience here on this channel. And literally, bigger is, I think, what took things in a different direction than I wanted them to go. And most people think like the bigger your business is, the more you have, the more things like that, the easier life is going to get. But when I peel back and I look at like the broader example of that, because it's intuitive to think that because of everything that's going on, inflation, it's things are 10 times more expensive than they used to be, rising cost of food, rent has skyrocketed. The narrative right now is that you need to have more side hustles, you need to scale your business, you need to grow faster, you just need more, 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 more. And clearly I bought into that. And I'm starting to question if that was the right decision for me. And there are probably some other people who are experiencing this as well. I was watching, ironically, just yesterday, I was watching the Cam Newton interview with Pinky Cole. And I was like, my God, she is talking to me. She was talking, if you don't know who Pinky Cole is, she is the founder of Slutty Vegan. And the title of the video was that she scaled $100 million brand, I think. No, she lost $100 million brand and then she bought it back. And she was talking about how she ended up having to file for bankruptcy. She ended up having to sell her business. And it's like she started with nothing, built it, got it out the mud and just, started with a food truck and then one location after another location after another location. And before she knew it, I think she said her payroll was like 300,000 a month or something like that. And so she had essentially built the business to the point where it was making six figures a week. And so then she just kept branching out and doing other locations because it's natural to think, I got it to work this one time. I'm going to see those same returns. Everybody's thinking, I got to make more money. I got to make this business as big as I can, but nobody's thinking about how your expenses will scale with you. Your problems will scale with you. Like the more people on your team, the more people you're responsible for. And I was just like, this is the same experience I'm having with real estate. I'm like, when I started with 7 units, it was really easy to run, right? You only had 7 personalities to manage. One team member could handle the whole thing. And I think those first 7 units, we were bringing in about $1,200 a month. So the natural inclination is that if I can 10x this, then I can bring in 12,000 a month and that the expenses will stay the same. But that is the complete opposite thing of what happened. And it was good for me to hear that like other people who have also been scaling their businesses were experiencing the same thing. So now I've changed my perspective from more is actually more to the nuance that yes, the fact that if you grow your business, your revenue will grow. But it doesn't account for the fact that everything else is going to grow with it and that more revenue doesn't solve any problems. And this situation has been just hitting me from all angles. Like it seems like the algorithm knows what problems I'm having in my business right now because every video that pops up is somebody else saying that. There's this guy, Nicholas Cole. I've been watching his videos too. And he was saying the same things that like the problems don't go away. So the problems that you have with your business that's making a couple $100 a month, you're going to see those same problems when you're making thousands of dollars a month. Only thing is the problems are going to be amplified. And so I'm like, if the people who have actually already scaled their businesses are being transparent and saying that, yes, we make more money, but we also deal with a lot more problems and our businesses are also a lot more expensive to maintain. We have to question if the story that the everyday person is being sold, is it actually true? Like, just from my own experience at 90 rental units, yes, it's a 7-figure business. I'm bringing in 7 figures, but my expenses are at least 60% of that, at least. And that's just off the top. Just off the top of my head, at least 60% of it is expenses. And so it's like, sometimes you end up making, right? If you can run a smaller business more efficiently, you might end up making the same money as having a big business where the expenses have just ballooned because I have more employees. I have more churn. Like I'm constantly filling vacancies. There's just more decisions, it's more complexity. And so when the business starts taking more time, more energy, more resources, and you start to see that the exponential growth that you saw with in the revenue, that the expenses also have that same exponential growth. The return on investment, which you are expecting to increase, is not necessarily increasing. It might actually stay the same. And so what I mean by that, like if I have to break it down in numbers, like say you have a business and it's bringing in $3,000 a month, but your expenses are zero, right? Let's say it's just your personal brand. You're creating YouTube content, right? It's just you have your equipment, you bring in $3,000 a month, it costs you nothing. But if you take that same business and you say, well, I want to make $300,000 a month. Well, you can't do that on your own anymore because now you're probably recording videos, you putting out multiple pieces of content a day, you're on multiple platforms. All of a sudden, you need a team and you need people to help you with creating content, help you with putting it out, help you with staying on schedule. And now you've built this whole thing, and what used to bring in $3,000 a month, say you do get it up to $30,000 a month, but now you have 3 team members helping you out, and so you may actually only be bringing in $5,000 a month now. And so it's like, is the extra added stress and complexity to the business? Because now you're a people manager and now you're responsible for other people and their salaries, right? And, there's so many other things that you just didn't have to worry about before. Is the extra money actually worth it? And in that same vein, another thing the algorithm popped up for me was Vanessa Lau. She had same thing, built a 7-figure business on YouTube and it got really big and she just walked away and quit. And now she's revealing that it was too stressful, it was too much going on, it just didn't seem worth it. And I'm like, there are just so many examples of the fact that bigger is not always better because although the good systems scale, the broken system scale too for it. So you really have to ask yourself, like, how chaotic and how miserable are these big businesses actually making people? And sometimes I think it's a little bit of a vanity metric. Like, of course, I didn't buy my real estate for a vanity metric, but I do think that we're in a culture right now where the bigger, you kind of need the social proof. Like the bigger your business, the bigger you can make the enterprise. It's almost like a bargaining chip that continues to feed, into your success. But I think it comes at a cost. And I think that's what I'm saying. So I've shifted my belief. I'm not trying to optimize for bigger in anything, like not in any of my revenue sources. And I think this kind of goes across all avenues of life because when I think about like, you want to go bigger in your career, well, I've done that too. You get promoted up into leadership. It is very stressful and you're really not making that much more than the people below you. I mean, in terms of salary anyway, some companies pay you a lot more in stock, a lot more in bonus. But in the grand scheme of things, you have to keep that in mind. Like it's the same pattern. So as I'm actively trying to reduce my stress level, reduce my workload, that means I'm going to have to reduce the real estate portfolio. And I'm just looking at other ways to make money that are simpler. And I think that's the real answer. It's not that you need bigger. It's not that you need more. You need sustainable because it doesn't matter how big you can get something if it's not sustainable. You're just going to quit. Look at Vanessa Lau. Or you're going to be pushed out. Look at Pinky Cole. So I think you have to get it to, get whatever you're working on to a point. So if you look at across everything you have going on, right, like get your career to a sustainable level and then add something on top of it. Sometimes the answer isn't always pushing one thing further. It may be adding on something new. So instead of trying to make more money from the real estate business, I've pivoted. I'm like, what are my other skill sets? What other ways can I leverage my expertise and things that I know how to do that can become sustainable forms of income on their own instead of trying to make one thing get so big that it blows up and blows out of control. How many sustainable sources of income can I have at once? And I know that's counterintuitive because most people say you need to focus and you need to pick one thing and you need to make it as big as you can. But something else that Nicholas Cole said that got my attention. He was like, think about, if you want to, how much more in problem and stress are you going to have to add if you want to add to that revenue source? So let's say, for example, you're a consultant and you're taking on clients and you're like, oh, I want to double my revenue or whatever. Well, how many more clients does that mean you have to take on? And then if you've ever worked with clients, that clients bring problems, it's another personality. It's basically people are paying you to solve their problems. And so it's like you have to consider, do I want to 10x the problems that I'm responsible for solving in order to 10x my revenue? And for most people, the answer is no, because most of us want to make a lot of money, but we don't want to work really hard. And so you kind of have to keep that in mind. That's just the way it works. So that's kind of how you decide, is this thing worth growing? If I want 10 times more revenue, am I willing to take on 10 times more problem? And so now that I basically have the chance to start over, I am not optimizing anything for size. I'm always looking at, how does this affect lifestyle? How many problems am I going to have to take on? And what will be sustainable? And don't get it confused. I'm not saying settle. I'm not saying play small, but I am saying when you're going hard, like going all in, going big or going home, consider the other side of it, because it's not one-sided. You don't just get to build the big thing and not deal with the the underbelly of it. So what success looks like for me today is running businesses, running side hustles, working jobs that allow me to leverage them. If I can put in 4 hours of work and I can get 16 hours of output out of it somehow, using AI, using my skill set that I've built up over the years, using people, if I can do something like that, then it's worth it. So what is the lowest amount of energy and work I can put in to get the highest return? And once you have reached that level of energy, you have to accept that the revenue, the clients, all the things that are a result of that output level, that is as far as that opportunity can take you. Because I've just seen too many, how many people have fallen off on the internet? And it's usually because they tried to do too much, not realizing that doing too much, that's not really what I got in this for. And then the whole thing just looks different. It's like, why am I even doing this anymore? And then people just quit and they disappear and they walk away from 7-figure businesses every single day. But that doesn't have to be you, because you're going to think about, what problem are you trying to solve, and will growth actually solve it? Because sometimes if you're just trying to make more money, maybe you need to reduce your expenses. Maybe you need to start using AI so you can do more with less. The answer might not be growth, and I want you to consider that. My name is Jerry, and if you're still here, do me a favor and give that like button a smash so you can keep building that confidence and you can keep building that cash. I make videos for ambitious people who want to live life on their terms, and you can get a behind the scenes look over at my businesses over on Substack at Confidence is Cash. And if you're ready to move from watching to taking action, you can click the link in the description to get the action steps and playbooks that I create for every single episode. So every single thing that I said you should do in this episode, I have a complete list of the things you need to go do right now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.